Good evening and welcome to our second Keele University Clearing webinar. I'm Tom from the Communications team and thank you for joining me this evening where we'll be discussing all things clearing. Now, I'm actually joined by Sam and Andy from the Global Student Recruitment and Admissions team, who are going to be here with me for about the next 30 to an hour, however many questions we get really, to answer any questions that you've got. So if you've got a question for either of these two, pop it in the live chat and I can ask it as we go along. But let's start off nice and easy. So first of all, can you remind us what clearing is?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Tom. And hi, everyone. Good evening. And thanks for joining us in kind of a results week. If you're feeling excited, anxious, nervous, we're here to help throughout the evening. So as Tom says, do send us any questions that you've got tonight. So in terms of clearing, kind of setting the scene, really, clearing is kind of the last stage of the admissions process when thinking about going to university. So one of the key things to think about is this is your last chance to think about where you may be going to university if you're planning on starting in September 2024. So you may have applied earlier in the cycle, you may be thinking about applying now to clearing. You might be currently thinking what might happen on Thursday when you get your results and your university places are looking at being confirmed. Clearing is a process that lots and lots of students use though. So around 70,000 students were placed through clearing last year in the UK. And there's sort of 5 reasons why you might be in clearing really. And lots of different types of people will be considering clearing. First of all, it might be people who are watching this who are thinking about applying to university for the first time through clearing. So that's one of the things you can do. You can apply as a new student into clearing. You could also be a mind changer. You might be thinking you've applied for a certain course and you want to make a quick adjustment to that sort of late in the day. You can do that as well. You might be disappointed on results day. We absolutely hope this doesn't happen to you, but we know it does to some. You might have an offer with a university you are thinking of going to and then looking to change your mind depending on those results. So you might not get the grades you were originally hoping for and look for a change. You might be in a position where you haven't had any offers from university as well, and you might again think about going back in and applying for a new university choice. Or you might do better than you originally expected and look to change your university option at that stage as well. So you might have applied to a university, done better than you expected in your exam results, and then look at another option as well. So I think the key thing really is no matter what of those 5 positions you're in, the key thing is when you get your results on Thursday, so you might be studying an A-level, a B.Tech, a T-level, or combination of those qualifications perhaps. The key thing is once you've got those results, you can be in any of those 5 positions and then make an application to university. We'll be working all the way through results period. We're able to make really quick decisions when we know what your results are. And we tend to know the exact number of places that we have available on our courses. So if you give us a call around clearing, it means we can be really quick and responsive to what your results have been. And we always say if you're then in the position where you are now, it's great that you've come along tonight and you're looking to find out lots more about clearing. If you've got a bit of time ahead of it, you can use that time to come up with a plan, think about other options that you might be interested in terms of university options, and then go into Thursday with a few ideas, a few backup plans just in case things don't work out as you wish, or if they go dramatically better than you wanted to, or if you want to change your mind as well. There's lots of different ways you can use clearing.
Fantastic. So you kind of hinted to it then, but if you are thinking about applying through clearing, you've obviously got just over a day really to kind of get your ducks in order. What things should you prepare if you're thinking about applying on Thursday? Or I guess clearing is open now. So if you're thinking of applying through clearing, what are the best things to prepare?
I think the best things are to really think about what it is you want to do. Also, that might sound like an easy question potentially, but are there things that you want to do where you might fancy a change? But also, how did you feel about the exams that you've just done? Are you feeling super confident? Are you feeling that there were areas where you could have done better? Or perhaps you're reflecting back, thinking about your exam results and thinking where you might have had a few issues and where you might want to have a different approach. But one thing we always try and say is it's a massive decision to make in a day around a decision that could affect the next 3, 4, 5 years of your life. So I always think to have a good plan in place, think about what could happen no matter what your results are. Hopefully they're exactly what you're looking for, and you end up at the university you want to go to. But if they don't, we often think it's a good idea to have thought about where it could be that could be a good option for you. So if you're already thinking about coming to Keele, what is it you like about Keele? What about the university attracts you? And then what might be a good option if you were in a position to be looking elsewhere? Equally, if you've applied to different types of universities, maybe in a city centre, do you want a city centre? Is that the sort of thing you'd be interested in? And university websites have got lots and lots of information. I'm sure Sam will tell you all about the website information later on. But you can use those to find out lots about the university options available to you.
Yeah, and I would say in terms of things you could do kind of right now, looking at websites is like a really good example of one of those things, because quite a lot of universities will have their vacancies published on the website. We've already got ours on there, so you can have a look and see what's available in clearing, and you can get an idea of what's going to perhaps be available that you might want to apply for. So take a look at university websites and see sort of what's out there.
Brilliant. We've got questions coming in, which is brilliant. Keep popping those questions in the chat if you want to ask them to either Sam or Andy. We're going to get through some of our pre-submitted questions first, and then I'll ask them any questions that come in the chat. I'll ask them later on. So don't feel like we're ignoring your questions. Just pop them in, and we'll get to them as soon as we finish this pre-submitted questions section. So if you're applying for a place on the 15th of August, which is results day, so on Thursday, is there anything different that you should do? I'm guessing if you're applying on that day, it's likely that you're waiting for your results. Is there anything different that you should do kind of ahead of time or on the day if you're applying then?
The key thing that we always say, and I will probably sound like a broken record throughout this session, is to have your results. It's the absolute most important thing you need to be able to talk to universities and make decisions. We need to know what your results are. So whether you've already applied through UCAS or not, if you have applied through UCAS, having your UCAS ID number always helps us. We can find out a little bit more of information about you. We can check and verify your information as well. But having those results is the most important thing that you'll need to have on that day. So we can't talk to you about your results until 8 a.m. UK time on Thursday. So that's the key time, really. Once we've hit 8 a.m, we can talk to you about the grades that you've received. And from there, you can start to make those clearing applications. If you already have your results, you can talk to universities earlier. But in terms of getting hold of those, we can't talk to lots of students with results until 8 a.m. on the Thursday. You're welcome to ring us beforehand, so our lines will open about 7:30, but we won't be able to make offers on courses at that point, and that will be true for all universities. So we always say, make sure you've got your results. The other thing I think to check as well is then making sure to check your UCAS hub if you have already applied to see whether you are in clearing or not. So sometimes you might be still accepted onto your university course of choice without getting the results that we asked for. This is really common, happens all the time, and obviously you may only ever be doing this once, but lots of universities do this every year. So you might be in a position where you've been asked for, say, ABB in your A-levels, and you come out with BBB, but the university you've applied to still wants to accept you. That's often because you've got a really good personal statement, a really strong reference, a really good holistic application, and we really, really want to have you on our course. So you might have that situation for one, and so you still might be confirmed at the university you wanted to go to. You might also have a course change offer, and these can appear sometimes as well. So again, this might be where you applied for a course, say you are looking for distinction stars across your BTEC, you get distinctions, and we've said it's not quite the level for the course that you've originally applied for, but there is an alternative that we think you'd be well suited for. Again, super common, and we'll have people calling those students up from a Keele side on the day as well, so to talk you through those options. So first of all, getting those results and then knowing if you are actually in clearing as well always helps us. Now you can look for clearing places without being in clearing. I'll just explain that in a little bit of detail, because that can sound a little bit strange. But particularly thinking about those who are changing their minds, you can still contact universities if you want to whilst you're holding an offer with a different university. So if you applied to elsewhere but you see a course at Keele that you're interested in, for example, you could give us a call on Thursday, talk to us about the courses we have available. We might maybe be able to make you an offer on that course whilst you're still holding an offer somewhere else. You then have a decision to make whether you want to take your clearing offer or stick with the original offer that you have, and that's then up to you at that stage to make sure you're comfortable with what your next steps are. But there are various different ways that you can access your university choices and can think about other universities you may want to go to. So 2 key things for me really are knowing your results and then knowing your kind of clearing position as well. Are you in clearing? Do you want to be in clearing? Because you can make some quick decisions there depending on what your next step you think is the right one.
Fantastic. I think there's quite a few questions worded in a variety of different ways around missing grades and things like that. So hopefully you've kind of covered that. We will come back to, I will ask them as well later on just to kind of recap that, because it seems like there's a lot of people who are quite interested, or that's kind of a concern for them in that area. So in terms of courses then, so what courses has Keele got in clearing this year?
Okay, so we've got lots of courses that have got some vacancies available, others that are already full. They're all listed on our website, such as keele.ac.uk/clearing, and then all of the current vacancies are listed there. Medicine and radiography, I know for a fact, are already full, and we've got a waiting list for some others. Midwifery and paramedic science, I think, have got a waiting list in place, so they're kind of like very limited and probably going to fill up very quickly. And then as we kind of go through the day on Thursday, other things will sort of fill up. The website will be, the best place to look and check, but give us a call. If you're not sure about something, you can check that with us. And obviously the people who are going to be speaking to you on the phones on Thursday and Friday and even, into the weekend, will be able to talk to you about what your options might be, and maybe if it is that there's a course that you're interested in that's full, what alternatives there might be for that.
Awesome. And it's quite a weird period, isn't it? Because you can actually come to a university that you've never visited or wasn't even on your radar before you started to apply for universities. So if you've now decided that actually, in the past few weeks, or even just from this stream, you've decided that, Keele, I'm quite interested in that, if you've not been before, what's the best way to learn what Keele is like over the next few days, weeks or so as you get into clearing?
Yeah, so I mean, kind of depending on where you live and how close you are in terms of getting here for a visit, you could come and visit us in person. We've got an open day on Saturday this week. So that's a full open day where we have, all of our academic teams will be there. You can visit all of the different schools, go in the labs, you can take a campus tour, you can see our accommodation. Absolutely everything kind of as you'd expect at a normal open day. If you can't get to the open day on Saturday, we have got campus tours happening Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You can just sort of turn up for one of those. There is a booking form available, but basically you can turn up to a campus tour. Not going to be quite as big in scale as the full open day, but it's a good way to kind of get a flavour of what our campus is like if you haven't ever been here before.
Amazing. And I said earlier, but anyone who's joined, if you've got any questions for either Sam or Andy, pop them in the live chat and I'll ask them after we get through this pre-submitted question period. So if you have dropped a question, thank you very much. We'll get to it in just a moment. So you mentioned their accommodation. We often get asked what happens with accommodation through clearing. If you apply, will you get accommodation? How does that work? Can you explain that side of things?
So we do have a number of rooms that are sort of saved for people who join us through clearing at this point of year. You can't apply for accommodation until you've kind of accepted your offer of a place through clearing, and it takes about 48 hours for the systems to just sort of catch up with themselves so that then you've got the right ID in the system so you can then actually apply for the accommodation. But our accommodation team are around during this period, during clearing, and they can also answer questions. If you've got questions about a particular room type, the people who also will be speaking to you on the phones perhaps on Thursday, Friday, will be able to answer them. And like I said, on the Saturday, the open day, we'll have our accommodation open and people can go and have a look at them there. If it is that you wanted to live on campus and our on-campus accommodation becomes full, our accommodation team will still support you in finding suitable accommodation in the local area. There's lots of options in terms of private sort of landlords and renting and that kind of stuff in the area. So they will give guidance and advice to you in terms of finding that accommodation that's close by. And I'm pretty sure free bus pass. If we can't get a place on campus, you end up living off campus, then yeah. that's sorted out for you. But the accommodation team are lovely, and they, you know, if it is that you wanted to live on campus and can't, they will support you to find somewhere.
Ace. So we'll now move on to kind of some more. We have some other pre-submitted questions, but I'm going to kind of mix and match these as we go through. And I think a few of these you'll end up repeating what you said around the grades, but we'll go through anyway just so that everyone's clear. So first of all, we've got my son has a conditional first choice offer at Keele, and that course is in clearing. If he misses the grades for this offer, will he automatically be offered this first choice?
For Keele, so in that scenario, what I imagine's happened is was it your son, who'd applied, got a conditional offer, and is waiting for those results. So in effect, what will be happening now is obviously it's a nerve-wracking wait first and foremost, but it's not long to go now, Thursday morning. What we'll do is when we're working through these results, we're having a look and making sure what we can and can't accept. Lots of the time, what we were trying to do is look at that whole application, as I say, holistically to make sure that we can or can't make that decision. What we're trying to do is look at, do they still have, in effect, the right level of knowledge to be successful on the course? That's one thing we always try and do, is we want to make sure that students who come on the courses are successful. There can be some wiggle room around grades. Obviously, it's really hard to say exactly what will be happening, because at the minute, you know, your son wouldn't have the grades at the minute and won't know them, and we then don't know exactly how to position that. But there is sometimes a little bit of flexibility. Our admissions teams will be working through all of that at the minute, and you'll get an answer on the morning of Thursday. I'd say this is where it can look a little bit different, because sometimes there can be a discrepancy between what you've originally been asked to get and what then shows on your UCAS hub. So for example, if you applied for a course and you've asked for ABB, you might then before going on to UCAS, you might go to your school or college, get your grades, it says BBB, and you might be thinking, well, hang on, what does that mean? We will make a decision as a university and send it through via the UCAS hub. Whatever decision is then on the UCAS hub is the decision, and that is what we've worked through. So even if the grades don't match entirely, the decision on UCAS is the ultimate decision. If you're then not sure at all, you're welcome to call us if you want to and just double check. We have students do that all the time. Just go, my UCAS hub's saying I'm in, but I've just missed by 1 grade or 2 grades, but I'm not quite sure. So we can answer that question over the phone. We can then go and check all of that for you as well. But if it says you're in on the UCAS hub, that's the one to trust. So even if the grades are slightly out, stick with what's written on that UCAS hub choice.
Yeah, there's a sort of second part to the question I'm just looking at here, in terms of if he misses the grades for that offer, will he automatically be offered this first choice?
Yeah.
Now that's not automatic, in terms of, it depends on what the grades are and kind of what the boundaries are, and like you say, you know, in that decision making, and how that. If someone's a firm choice with us and has an insurance choice somewhere else, they might miss their grades, but they might still be offered the place on that course. It might be if you miss your grades by more, then you might not be successful at your firm choice. May then be offered insurance.
Yeah,
and that's sort of how it tends to go. But UCAS hub is a place to look, and that'll give you all of the.
Can I just check? So if you've applied for a course. And you miss your grades and you go onto the UCAS tracker and you've not been offered the place anyway, is it still worth applying for that course, the same course through clearing, or is that, if you know that you've been rejected at that point, is it best to stop there, or is it still worth going through clearing?
I'd say it would be unlikely if you've missed almost.
Automatically
we will have already considered
it.
Yeah, we've already considered a variety of different scenarios. So in that case, it's probably unlikely that you'd be able to get a place through clearing. We will have considered every option that we possibly can for students who've already applied to us, definitely. So if it's still unsuccessful when you're going on to the UCAS hub, it is unlikely. I would say best point at that point is then to kind of get that plan out that you've already prepared, call some of the other universities. You're welcome to try and call us back again if you want to. I say it is unlikely at that stage, so I would use that time to look at other options potentially. But if you wanted to, you're welcome to give us a call again.
Yeah, and if it was that you were like super keen to come to Keele and we hadn't offered you an alternative course, maybe give us a call and we could talk about, what other options there might be. People do sometimes do that in terms of actually kind of do this course instead. I mean, you're looking at a completely different sort of set of entry requirements, and that can be looked at as well.
Yeah, and going back to some of those different people we talked about, the 5 reasons why you might be in clearing. Last year, I know we had examples of people applying for science courses and applied business programs, and they had a conversation on the phone where they decided that they had a bit of a mind change since they'd originally applied, and that's fine. And again, like you're saying, Sam, it's a different set of qualifications, it's a different set of grades we're looking at. So those are some of the options there.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a few more down this trend. So
variations on a theme.
So we've got one person who applied for the MSc in adult nursing, but let's say this is any course. If you apply for a course and your application was rejected at that stage, now then when you get your results and clearing opens, is it worth then trying to reapply for that course, on Thursday?
Or with it being an MSc, no.
No, so clearing is.
But what about if let's put that into UG perspective then?
Yeah.
Undergraduate perspective, we'll try not to use our abbreviations that we all know.
Yeah, so if for example you'd applied for, if you'd applied with something like accounting maybe, and say X university, you applied for accounting, the grades were BBB, you predicted CCC. You were unsuccessful. You didn't get an original offer in the main cycle at CCC because you were predicted too far off. If you've then done brilliantly and got 3 A's in those A levels, and you've really gone above and beyond, absolutely call that university back, because the context that we'll be then working with will have been completely changed by you doing brilliantly and completely changed your results. So in theory, if you originally applied and were unsuccessful, but then you've gone really far above what those initial predictions were, absolutely call those universities up, I would say, because again, that changes the type of conversation that you'd be having. That's again, when we speak about those 5 different regions, that would be your trader uppers, if you like, who might be going, well, originally I didn't think I could make that option, but my circumstances have changed so much that might bring it back into play.
Brilliant. And again, feel free to give me a short answer if we've answered these questions, but I'm just going to ask them anyway so that everyone feels like their question was answered. So say you don't get the original entry requirements, but they were then lowered when they went into clearing, when clearing opened, and then you get the grades of the new lowered entry requirements. Do you automatically get accepted, or do you still have to go through clearing? So I think this is about check your UCAS essentially.
Look on Hub, but yes, you would automatically be accepted. If it was at your first choice institution, then yep, and your status will change and you'll be accepted there.
Next up is interview. So some courses require interviews to get onto. So when you go through clearing, do you have to do? If you get this question says, do you need to do another interview? But also, do you need to do an interview anyway if you haven't already?
Some courses.
Yeah, for those courses where we would traditionally interview, so it's often your health courses, for example. If you applied for nursing or paramedic science, for example, through clearing, we would do an interview as part of the selection process. So what you would do is normally you'd call one of our call handlers. They'd talk you through the start of the application, your name, date of birth, what grades you got, course of interest. At that point, we'd then be referring to academic teams who then normally conduct a phone interview. That's what we do here at Keele. Some universities will do that differently, but then we'd normally do a phone interview with you to make a decision from there. So if it's a course we traditionally interview for, like your nursings, like your paramedic science, or speech and language therapy perhaps, those ones we would then require an interview for.
Is there anywhere where you'd need to do another interview?
I guess it would depend on the context of where the original interview was. It's always tricky because that'd be super individual. If you're applying for any health course that normally requires an interview, you would have to do an interview. Even if you'd already done one in that main cycle, we would have to do one. If it was in effect a new clearing application, we would have to do an interview for that course in effect.
Makes sense. Again, probably on a similar vein, what to the previous kind of grade questions. What if you miss your grade for the conditional offer by 1 grade? Check your hub.
Yeah. Depends on the course. Quite a lot of institutions, like Andy was saying earlier, will have flexibility over one grade, that kind of thing. So it's a possibility that you've still been accepted. But yeah, check your UCAS hub and it'll all be in there.
Amazing. So if you've just joined us, by the way, we're kind of asking questions that you've got around clearing and results day to Sam and Andy here from Global Student Recruitment Team. If you've got any questions, pop them in the live chat and we'll ask them in just a moment. So moving on to our next one. So this one is, if you have an offer but don't get those grades, but you get the grades needed for the course on clearing. So again, if we end up lowering the grade boundaries on a course, can you then get in? And how does that work?
Yes.
Yep.
And automatically, if it's your first choice as well, because I see that I think this person's asked a couple of follow-up questions there. If it's your first choice and you make the grades that you can see are already published on our website for that course in clearing, then yeah, you're good. And to answer the other question, we've had a question related about foundation year as well, that yes, that is an option for some people in terms of if they don't quite meet the requirements that they would need to get onto a given course in clearing, then they might be offered the course with the foundation year, which is like an extra year that you would do before you then go on to the full, usually 3 years of study to help prepare you then for that university level study. So it's very popular and we see quite a lot of students. We have several hundred students who do a foundation year with us every year.
And again, will that work in kind of two ways? Of it will, or you might automatically get offered a foundation year, or you might then call up and we might suggest a foundation year.
Yeah, both things might happen. You might ring us and have, be interested in a particular course, and we look at your qualifications and we say, actually, we can't offer you a place on that course, but we could offer you a place on the foundation year that would lead on to that course. If you successfully complete the foundation year, then you automatically progress onto the course that you want to go on to as well for us. So it is a really good option for a lot of people. It might be that you just look in UCAS Hub and you've got a changed course offer. So you might have applied for whatever particular course, and you see that you've not been offered that once you've got your results, but you have been offered that with a foundation year. That's also quite a common thing that we might offer to people to help them find that route into doing the subject that they want to do.
Probably a question we get asked quite a lot as well is, will there be any clearing for medicine? If so, will you accept someone who was rejected at an interview previously?
Yeah, so sadly not, no. So we don't have any spaces for medicine in clearing. It never really happens, but it's very, very, very rare that any university would. But yeah, no, sadly for us, we haven't got any spaces at all for medicine.
This is one that you'll enjoy, Sam. Is clearing online or by phone call?
Ooh. Yeah, so you can call us, and we're going to have people, like Andy said earlier on in the stream, we'll have a big team of people who will be here on Thursday morning answering phones from about 7:30. Like Andy said, we can talk to you from 8 a.m. when that embargo lifts and when results are officially kind of released to you and published. So from 8 a.m, lots of people who will answer the phone, have a chat with you, talk to you about your options and see if we can find you a place at Keele. They'll be there all the way through till 8 p.m. on Thursday. If you don't want to talk to anyone on the phone, and not everyone's a fan of it, having a chat on the phone, you can use our online form. It's on the website. You just click on apply now, and that will take you through quite a simple application form. Make sure you pop in all the details that you've got about your results. Let us know exactly what you've got so that then we can look at that form and decide if we can make you an offer to study with us. So yeah, both things are available. And we get lots of people calling us, but we do get lots of people filling in that form as well, who'd rather just be able to pop it in quickly, comes across to us. We can then consider it within our admissions team and come back to you with an offer.
What's the web address, Sam?
It's tattooed on the inside of my arm here. keele.ac.uk/clearing. And everything that you need to know about our vacancies and that application form, it's all on there.
Do you also know the phone number?
Oh my gosh.
I do.
Off the top of my head. Is it 491120?
Yeah, but obviously
we
might...
01782 491120.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Passed. Keep my job.
I didn't know.
Again, I think we've answered this one, but what if you miss your grade for your conditional offer by 1 grade, for example?
It'll all be down to individual universities. Again, there's a little bit of flexibility in there. It's super hard to say without knowing the whole context of the application, but there is often a little bit of flexibility. Just check UCAS hub at 8 a.m. on Thursday.
Quite a specific one, but let's just open this out to all courses. The person's asked, how limited are the spaces for diagnostic radiotherapy, radiography? But for example, how limited are places for certain courses? Can you check that anywhere?
You can. I think it's on our website already. That one is full, as far as I know. I'll have a quick check.
But in terms of checking other courses or checking places on other
all
areas?
on the website. So on the /clearing, and then it's /current-vacancies, but you can navigate to it really easily from the clearing landing page to explore current vacancies. And at the top of that page, it details what we don't have any vacancies for, the courses that are completely full, and then what we're currently operating a waiting list on. And then as you go through the page, there's a long A to Z basically of all of the courses that are available, and it details the course, the UCAS code, and then also what the entry requirements are in terms of UCAS points. And there are a few where it might signpost a little bit more additional information, but generally speaking, there's information there about the points that you would need. For some subjects, you might need subject specific on the entry requirements. So you might need to have a particular qualification in a particular subject for that course. Again, that's all linked from the website. It's all detailed in there that what you might need. So if you wanted to, investigate between now and 8 a.m. on Thursday morning, you can get a really good idea of what it is that you would need for those subjects.
Brilliant. Again, we'll be here for a little bit longer. If you've got any questions for either Sam or Andy, pop them in the live chat and I'll ask them as soon as we get to them. This next one's a follow-up to the first one where you answered, if you can remember that one. It says, thanks for answering the above. So if my son's hub lists his reserve as open to confirm, then we can assume Keele has considered everything about his grades and application and can't make him an offer.
It should say in that case, it should say what Keele's decision is, and it should say what the insurance choice would be as well. It will often say unable to make an offer, or words to that effect on there. So it will either say confirmed, congratulations, you're in, or it will say that we were unable to make an offer. Again, we would have considered all the options. That's what we will always try and routinely do as we go through the process. We'll try and consider every single circumstance that we can. If we can't, we can't. Again, probably best solution is, if you want to go into any more detail, is just pick up that phone and give us a call, really. But yeah, I'd say the UCAS hub is the guide in effect. If you wanted one guide that's going to give you a definitive answer, what's written on that UCAS hub at 8 o'clock on Thursday will be the guide.
Fantastic. We've had another one here about the embargo. Actually, we're still in the embargo, right, aren't we? So the question is there a chance that places in clearing will fill up before Thursday? And they've asked, they're not sure how the embargo works. So maybe talk about how, what does it mean that we're in embargo, and is there a chance that course places might actually fill up before we hit results day?
Do you want to do embargo?
Yeah, of course. It's a really good question, and it's something that we do at universities all the time. But for you as potential applicants, is probably a bit strange. What you're probably used to is lots of kind of communications from universities, whether that's emails that Sam's team have been working on, whether it's kind of going on to UniBuddy, talking to students, calling admissions, and often you can find that you get a really swift response. Then there's this weird period where you then probably haven't heard a lot, which can be a little bit unsettling when it's getting as close and close to results period and you feel like we're not talking to you. That's one of the reasons we do these sessions, so that we can talk to you a little bit about the work that we're doing at the minute. What it means is that we're working through the results a little bit at the minute, so that when you get yours on at 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, we can ensure you've got the right result and decision waiting for you. So because of that period, what we can't do is we can't talk to you about your results while we're trying to process things. That does mean that our courses can change, and lots of universities, they can change as we work through all the different decisions. So our firm students, our insurance students, It can, but ultimately we can't speak to anyone about their results now. And just to reassure you, that is totally normal. We do this every single year with every single applicant. If you've only ever done it once, it will feel a little bit strange, and we completely understand that, but it's a totally normal process. What we're doing is we're just working through everything we can, looking at all those kind of different combinations and permutations that I was mentioning earlier about how we try and consider students for the range of courses that we have, to put you in a best position to know on Thursday morning exactly what you're working with. Again, I can't stress enough, it's totally normal. It's not something to worry about if you're not hearing back from universities. And believe me, you'll hear a lot from 8 o'clock on Thursday morning. So everyone you've already been speaking to, they'll get all of our communications, won't they, straight from that embargo period ending.
And in terms of whether the places could fill during embargo, before we actually get to results day on Thursday, technically, yes, if we had, let's say, a lot of people applying who've already got their results. So they've got results in hand, so embargo doesn't apply to them. They're not waiting on any results. So that might happen, but again, it's not a super common kind of scenario. Typically speaking now, we're in a position where we kind of know how many vacancies we've got for Thursday. And then sort of as we then progress through Thursday, we're more likely to start seeing those places fill up.
Brilliant. As if we haven't got enough places of questions coming through, we had a question on our Instagram story yesterday. Now, the question is it worth applying to a course through clearing that you didn't get onto, that was your first choice? So again, if you would apply for the course as your first choice and you got rejected for that, is it then worth applying through clearing? I think you kind of answered this earlier, and it was around if your grades have gone up.
Yeah.
It's the same thing apply here?
I think it's always worth giving us a call and having a chat and sort of seeing what, if anything has changed. I think there's a related question here as well on the stream around they've already applied, didn't get the offer, but could they still apply through clearing? Yes, you can still apply through clearing, and we'd have a look at that application. It all depends, on kind of the grade boundaries and what what was kind of happening at the time in that decision making and what would happen now. So if it is that you're really really keen, you want to come to Keele and you want us to find a course for you, it could be that we could just perhaps offer you an alternative. Maybe the foundation year route would be better, or maybe a different course. But it's certainly worth giving us a call and having a chat with someone from our team to see about that.
Brilliant. Going back to some of our pre-submitted questions, one again we get asked quite a lot is how many students join Keele through clearing? If you apply if you come to us on Thursday and get a place, are you likely to be one of a minority there? Everyone else will have already settled in, know what they're doing, or will you be in quite a sturdy room full of people who've also come through clearing?
Yeah, I think we have hundreds of students who join us through clearing every year. So lots of people in a similar situation. Now, some of those people may be local to Keele, so they might know the campus, they might have been here before. We'll have others who've never been here, who don't really know the area perhaps that much at all. So a real sort of mix of people who join us through clearing, and lots of people then sort of in a similar boat when they arrive here in September. I suppose if you're one of those people who perhaps is applying through clearing because you've changed your mind altogether about going to university, you hadn't applied earlier on in the year, and this is you've gone, actually, got my results on Thursday, I'm going to do it and I'm going to make an application. You're going to be one of those people who maybe racing a little bit in terms of catching up, because you need to do things like put in your student finance application and get your accommodation application sorted and all those sorts of things. But it's all doable, it's all possible, and we've got lots of support teams here at Keele as well who can help and give advice around those things. So don't panic. There's lots of people here, who are going to be in a similar situation. And then you'll find, when you come, perhaps you're moving into halls or you're meeting people on your course for the first time. Lots of people who've come through clearing and, have got different sort of experiences to share.
Amazing. We're getting questions in thick and fast. Some are kind of repeats of questions we've asked before. So if I do ask a question that you've already answered, feel free to give me a short response. And again, once we finish this stream, it will then go live on YouTube. So if you need to scroll back through and watch it again to kind of have a look for a question that you might have missed earlier on, you can do that straight after we finish. So we'll jump back to the live chat questions then. So if you've already applied to Keele but didn't get an offer, can I still apply through clearing as I didn't get the offer due to my interview, is the question there.
I think we touched on that one earlier, didn't we?
Yeah.
It's sort of, yes, give us a call and we can certainly look at it again. Obviously, if you've already been and had an interview with us and not been successful at that round, it is potentially unlikely. But again, if things have changed, then we might be able to relook at that.
Is it still worth calling on results day if there are no vacancies listed now?
Depending on the subject. If it's medicine, I would say no. I don't think it would be worth calling on results day for places in medicine. It's unlikely for us to have vacancies in radiography. And I think for things like some of our foundation years, such as children's nursing foundation year and midwifery and foundation year midwifery, they're also direct entry. Very, very limited number of places. So keep your eye on the website for those. For most things, I think it's worth giving us a call and seeing. But if it says on the website there are no vacancies, then we've definitely got no vacancies.
And I think the thing I'd add there as well is if they're popular at one university, they tend to be popular at lots as well. So if we haven't got any vacancies for midwifery, for example, there might not be lots of universities with those vacancies. So if you're sat on the phone talking to Keele where we haven't got any vacancies, all that time you could be using calling other universities is losing you time against other potential options. So I'd say if you could, but we will have that website up to date with our vacancies, won't we? So if it says no vacancies, it just means that we are full.
And what was that website?
Keele.ac.uk/clearing.
Lovely. I'm going to join two questions together here because they're kind of the same. So we touched on it right at the start of the stream, but it's a good time to recap. Will there still be accommodation places available when you apply through clearing? And how soon do you have to decide about your accommodation in your halls?
Yes, there will be accommodation available. We have a limited number of spaces that we hold every year for people who join us through clearing. And you typically can apply for your accommodation 48 hours after you've accepted your offer. So there's a little bit of a gap between accepting your offer and then being able to apply for accommodation. And then you're given a period of time in which to accept that offer. This is on the accommodation website as well, and the information on there is around how to make your application through clearing, and it's all linked from keele.ac.uk/clearing.
Lovely. So this is an interesting one. I'm not sure. I'm interested to know your answer. What if you didn't apply through UCAS but through email contact? Is that a thing?
Yeah. So students don't always have to have contacted us via UCAS. The vast majority of our undergraduate students do. So that's where we tend to use it for a bit of shorthand, really, for those first undergraduate degrees. If you applied through other routes, perhaps directly, or as you say, through email in this case, if it's for an undergraduate course, we can still then look at a clearing option. It does mean there's a little bit more paperwork involved, mainly from your side, perhaps. But we can accept direct applications. And I say there are people who will go to university, apply for the first time through clearing. That does happen. So that is something that you can do.
There are some fantastic questions tonight. The next one is, if you've completed a UCAS application form and you give your UCAS ID number to the clearing hotline,
yes,
do they have access to all of your grades, personal statement, teacher references, or do you need to scan those?
If you are in clearing, we can access that information. So just to explain that in a bit more detail, and I'll use Keele as an example, if you applied to Keele, you have in effect consented to sharing your information with Keele. So we've got access to that information. If you've never spoken to Keele, you haven't given us that set of information for us to be able to work with, and that's all to do with your personal information. Not everyone should be able to access all of that. If you are in clearing, then universities can access additional information about you. So if you're someone who finds themselves in clearing, we can look all that information up. The process that you would normally follow, say if you did a phone call or if you filled in the online form, for us it's exactly the same. You'd go through a process of kind of filling in your personal details, things like your name, address, date of birth, and your UCAS personal ID if you've got that number. You then tell us what your grades are, either over the phone or you type them in, and then you'd be looking at the course that you want to apply to. You'd click submit, or we'd click submit if you've called us. What we'll then do is you'll make what we call a verbal offer. That offer back to you will say, based on the information that you've told us being true, we're happy to make you an offer here at Keele University. If you then choose to put us down as your clearing choice, I guess that's probably one thing that's the next step. Once you've got the offer from the university, you go on to UCAS, you can add it in as a clearing choice. That's when your clearing information will talk to your UCAS account and your UCAS information, and we'll check that the information you gave us is all accurate. Now, obviously, you're only going to give us accurate information, so we'll only be able to make offers to people who've given us all the right information. We'll only be able to accept students who do give us accurate information. So we can access it. We don't ask for additional personal statement. We don't ask for additional reference at clearing. So it's purely based on the grades that you've received, as we can access those on your UCAS file. So yeah, no need to kind of scan anything, send us anything. There are differences depending on if you're applying from overseas. So there are certain overseas qualifications that UCAS doesn't have access to, where we might ask you to send us a transcript or send us an official kind of breakdown of what your grades and results are. Again, that's all really common. Lots of universities will work in the same way. So there are certain exam boards over the world where we might ask you to send in a physical copy of your transcripts, but that would be the same for every university.
I can think of one exception potentially. If someone's waiting for your GCSE result, and then you might have to send us when GCSE results come out, that gets submitted separately. Yeah. It's not very often, but potentially if the course you're applying for has got a GCSE specific, in some of our courses, most of our courses will have an English GCSE requirement, some have a maths GCSE requirement. If you haven't got that, that grade and you're waiting for that from GCSE results day, which will be the following week, then that could be something that we'd ask for you to submit and upload into your applicant hub, just as a follow-up. But for the vast majority, like you say, we've got access to that, and it's just people who are pending those other quals that we might ask you to follow up with.
Really good. Next question is that hopefully you can answer quite quickly. Is there limited places for physiotherapy, and how do you check the places? On
the website. Yeah, and I think we do have some spaces available in physiotherapy at the moment.
Yeah. And you check them via
keele.ac.uk/clearing.
Lovely, and that's the webpage you'll see when you get there. An interesting one here. So obviously, some people might, as you say, apply quite last minute for a university place through clearing. What happens if at any point between now and, let's say, the end of October, you change your mind? Mm-hmm. Is there chance? Is it the end of the road and you just have to leave that course? Is there kind of options to move around to a different course within the university? If you end up making a decision that you don't want to stick to in 3 or 4 weeks' time, what are your options?
I think if it's before the course begins, then it's get in touch with us. Email our admissions team and speak to us, and we'll look at whether we can change you onto a different course. If you start your course and you think, actually, this is not for me, I've changed my mind and I want to do something else at Keele, then that's a conversation we'd need to to have with your academic team, academic mentor, and with other departments as well, to see if that was possible. There are some courses which, by their very nature, it's quite easy to move between them because perhaps they share quite a common first year, or they'll share common modules. So you might have some courses within particular schools, let's say, that have got variations of a degree, but share lots of similarities in the first year. So I'm thinking perhaps as an example of maybe one of our chemistry courses, or something in maths, or computer science. There's lots of different brackets, if you like, of those programs that you'd be much easier to kind of swap between. If it's you're coming on to chemistry and then you decide I want to do business management, or something like that, that's quite a shift, and it would just be a conversation with lots of different teams at Keele who could look into whether that was a possibility for you.
I really enjoy this next question. So when will they announce that you're accepted or not? I am tired mentally.
Oh, I feel that. It is such a, you know, a difficult time when you're kind of waiting and waiting and waiting. That will be 8 o'clock on Thursday morning, where all of the results will be with you, you know, published. You can look in UCAS Hub. It might be that your school or college sends you an email as well with your results in. So it's not much longer now to wait for those results. Yeah, 8 a.m. Thursday morning will be, and it's all ready for you.
Brilliant. So talk us through the phone call then. So if you're applying to Keele, if you're applying through Keele, hang on, you're applying through clearing on Thursday to Keele.
Yep.
Yeah.
What is the phone call like? Is there anything that you need to prepare before that? What should you do in anticipation for that? Let's say you've got phone anxiety and you hate phoning people. What's the best thing?
If you genuinely don't like phoning, use the online phone.
Okay, we're not that bad then. We will pick up the phone.
You want to pick up the phone. You want to have a chat with somebody. So we've got a whole team of people who will all be in kind of basically a big call centre on Thursday morning, taking those calls. And you might be speaking to someone like me or Andy. It might be it's an academic from one of our schools who's in the call centre. So
are either of you on the phone line?
Actually, not me not us in the morning. Potentially later on in the day.
You could actually get through to one of you.
Yeah. We're some of us are calling out though, so we might call you if you said you wanted to speak to us. We might be calling you at some point during the day.
So lots of people from across the university kind of come and join us in the call centre, and we'll be answering those calls. Everybody who is answering the phone is going to be super friendly. They understand that maybe you're a little bit stressed at the moment and you kind of want to get an answer quickly, and they will just talk you through some questions, get the information that they need from you to be able to look at your application and see if we can make you an offer. So they want to make it as sort of easy and sort of as stress-free as possible for you. So all the questions they're going to ask you are just going to be around maybe your qualifications, what course obviously you want to study, if there are any other things that you want to consider, and then they'll be basically popping that into a form to then look at whether we can generate an offer for you on the spot. If they can't make an on the spot, you know, in the moment sort of decision to make you an offer, they're going to refer you across to our admissions team, who are also in that call centre but kind of doing more specialised kind of decision making at that time. They'll look at your application and then would get back to you with an offer or a decision.
And I think the other thing I'd add as well, perhaps touching on that last question around changing your options, is we're also there to talk you through what variety of options we have available. So if you called up and said, I'm interested in something in business, we'd be able to talk to you about all the business courses we have available. We can make offers on multiple ones as well if you want to. So if you say like business and marketing and another business management option, I want to consider both, but I'm not quite sure yet. I'd love to come to our open day on Saturday to make a final decision. That's something we can talk to you about as well. Equally, if you want a minor counselling session around what your next steps are, we're all happy to do that. So again, if you started with business and you're now not sure where you want to go, but I think that might be the other thing to add as well. We have got an open day on Saturday. Sam, you mentioned earlier that there's an option to come and see the university. We have got that open day. So if you were trying to choose between multiple options, we can have that conversation with you over the phone. That hopefully helps with the mind changing, so we can talk to you about multiple courses, but also there's a chance to come and speak to some of the teams on Saturday in person.
Yeah, because the offer that you'll be given, if you say you apply to us, you ring us up, we make a verbal offer, and then you'll get an email offer that will follow that up and basically say, you're offered to study whatever the programme is, based on you having the qualifications that you sort of said that you've got. It's not a kind of expires in 5 minutes type offer. You have got a couple of days.
Yeah, it's normally a couple of days. Yeah.
So if you're talking to us, you can take a little bit of time to think about that decision as well.
Brilliant. Got time for about 3 more questions, so we'll kind of get through these. When looking at the people's grades, do we take into account how many UCAS points they have, or is it just based on the grades that they were offered?
I was going to say it will depend on course to course. So we tend to look at, it will really depend on the terms of the offer that you've been given. So if we asked, for example, for a BBB with a BA chemistry, if you got ABC with a C in chemistry, then that we would class that as not having met the requirements. Now, again, we may still accept you on that basis because of that being close, but it would depend on the offer that we've given you. So if we've asked you to get a set number of UCAS points, then that's what we'll be looking for. If we've asked you for set type of qualifications, then that's what we'll be looking for. Again, you might get close, you might be a little bit far away, you might exceed those grades or requirements. It will all depend on how you perform on the day. But in terms of when you're ringing up and speaking to us, we often display our entry requirements on our website, keele.ac.uk/clearing. We always display those in terms of UCAS points. The reason we do that is because we know that students have got a variety of different qualifications. You might have 2 A levels and a BTEC, you might just be doing a T level, you might be doing a whole BTEC, you might have done the extended project qualification, which has got UCAS points attached to it as well. So we know there's so many different combinations that we tend to put the points there to kind of sum up all the different combinations that it could possibly be. So it does depend on the course. It's a slightly long-winded answer. But again, have a look on your hub. That will tell you exactly what the decisions are. And it will depend on what we've asked you for in the first place. So make sure to go back to your original offer, look at what we've asked for in the first place, and that's what you'll be needing to try and hit.
And then a final question from the live chat. It's more around communication. So if you don't get an email on the day, is the best thing to do is just check the hub?
Yeah, I mean, definitely UCAS Hub, first protocol. We will be sending out emails and text messages to our successful applicants on Thursday morning, so you will get more comms from us as well. But UCAS Hub is kind of where all the decisions, for you to check are there. But if you get an email or a text from us on Thursday morning that says something along the lines of "Congratulations, your place at Keele is confirmed," then you can take that as your place is confirmed.
And then finally, just as a nice one to round us off and finish the live Q&A, if anyone is thinking of joining Keele over the next few weeks or even on Thursday itself, what advice would you give them? Let's start with Andy.
I'll go boring and you can do a fun one, Sam. Okay. But boring one for me, have your results before you get in contact with us, whether that's via the phone or via the web form. Just give yourself the best chance of having the best conversation you can and getting yourself the best answer and outcome you can. So get a hold of those results, whether you're applying to Keele, whether you're applying to other universities. Go into that conversation knowing where it is you stand, and that will give you the best chance of a positive outcome. And Sam?
So I would say if you've not been to Keele before and you don't know much about Keele, and you're thinking, right, I'm going to come to Keele now, I'm going to apply through clearing, brilliant. If you can come and visit us, I really recommend you come and visit us. The open day is a great chance to kind of meet lots of the teams, get a feel for what campus is like, go and explore. There's 600 acres, maybe don't do the whole 600 acres, but go and have a wander around and get a feel for the place. Lots of our students, when they come here, they know quite quickly, I feel, that it's right for them, and visiting campus is a really big part of that, I think, for lots of them. So if you can get to campus, recommend that either on an open day or one of the campus tours that we've got going on. And like I say, they're happening Thursday, Friday, Sunday this week, but also we have them regularly as well. So that would be probably my top tip. If you've not been before, if you're thinking of joining us, come and visit.
Can I break with tradition and ask you one final question?
Go on.
Do I need to reject my other offers before calling for clearing?
No.
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 I thought it was a great one to ask.
That's a brilliant question. Brilliant question. And absolutely do not do that. I would absolutely recommend, if you're thinking about clearing offers, call as many universities of choices as you want to. Get the offers first. Get them in your inbox. I couldn't remember the word then. Get them in your basket, email inbox, whatever it is, and then make your decision. I would always say you don't want to ever be in a situation where you haven't got a choice. So keep hold of if you've been accepted to university, keep hold of that choice. Then get any kind of clearing choices you want to from there. And once you have those, you can then release yourself from the university you're originally at, and add in a clearing choice. But you can only do that with one course at a time. So that's why don't let that one go. I think we both got very serious on that one. But yeah, if you've got an option, keep it. Then if you want to go and shop around, you can. The other thing to mention is you can't do it before 1 o'clock. So you can't refer yourself as a UCAS choice for clearing until 1 p.m. UK time. So it gives you the morning to kind of have a little think. You can have 20 offers by 8:30 if you wanted to. You have quite a big phone bill probably by the end of it.
Phone bill?
You could do.
What period are you in?
I won't tell you what year I applied to university. But yeah, so you could get 20 offers by 8:30 and then think about what your next stage is. But definitely don't reject that one before you've spoken to the universities.
Yeah, and it is final, that decision is as well, isn't it? If you decline that place, you can't undo that. So yeah, make sure you're sure about what you're doing and you've got any other offers that you want in place first before you decline that and release yourself into clearing.
And one thing that UCAS tell us on a similar theme is don't let anybody else touch your account. So if you're the student and you may have a parent, this was an anecdote that someone from UCAS told me last week, a parent who wants to play around and press a button and see what happens, don't let them. Because they often get a phone call. They did last year. They had a number of phone calls. People said, I was just on my child's account and I think I may have done something wrong and I've rejected all their university places. So just make sure that anyone who can get anyone in your account knows exactly what they're doing, and it should be you, the student, who's the only one doing that.
When we do, just to kind of touch on parents, we know that like parents are really, invested. They want to support their young people. We do get phone calls from parents, or might be parents, filling in the forms online, and that's totally fine. That to be making a call to say, right, these are the grades. Would you be able to make an offer? There'll be some circumstances where we would need to speak to you, the individual, who's the applicant. But if you've got someone at home with you or wherever you are on Thursday, and 2 people can be making calls, then you might want to think about doing that. It's good to have someone around just for a bit of moral support on the day. And
we always like to speak to the student as well, because ultimately it's your choice, and you have to be happy with it. We have to feel confident that you're definitely happy with that option.
A brilliant last question, and I'm glad I asked it. So thank you both for that. And just to recap then, so if you are interested applying to Keele through clearing, visit keele.ac.uk/clearing or call 01782 491120. Correct. And if you want to come and visit us, we've got an open day on Saturday, and you can go to keele.ac.uk/open days and learn more about that. But if you are interested in just spending the next 48 hours learning all about Keele, just look on our website, the accommodation pages, the study pages. There's lots of resources as well. Or stay on YouTube. We've got videos about all of our a lot of our courses. There's campus tours. There's videos about our accommodation, things like that. So make use of all of the online resources that we've got over the next 48 hours. And we wish you all the best of luck, whatever happens on Thursday. Thank you so much for joining us tonight, and hopefully we'll see a few of you at Keele in the future.